Hi everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss about the relation between air and photosynthesis. Now, Joseph Priestley in 1770 revealed that air is essential for photosynthesis, and he conducted many experiments to find out. He discovered the oxygen and to find out the exchange of gases. So, one of the experiments is done by Joseph Priestley's bell jar experiment. This is very important experiment. So, in this experiment, we are going to study that exchange of gases takes place during photosynthesis. So this is the aim of the experiment. Exchange of gases takes place during photosynthesis. The materials required for this experiment are a bell jar, a rat, living rat, candle and a mint plant, a small mint plant, or you can take a twig also, but here we are taking a small mint plant. Now coming to the procedure of this experiment, take a bell jar. Okay, in that bell jar you enclose a burning candle as well as a living rat and keep this bell jar aside for some time. After some time, what you observe is, after some time the candle will put off and the rat starts suffocating. Why? Because whatever be the oxygen that is present in this, it will be exhausted, so that the burning process cannot take place, so the candle will put off, and because of lack of this oxygen the rat will start suffocating. So after a few days, what he did is, Joseph Priestley, now in this bell jar he introduced one small mint plant. So next time what he does is, he took a burning candle, a rat, living rat and a small mint plant, and he enclosed all these three things in a bell jar. And when he kept this apparatus aside for some time, and what he observed is, the candle was burning brightly, rat was alive and the plant is also alive. That means from this experiment he come to a conclusion that there is something that is released by the plant which is utilized by the burning candle and the rat, and the gas that is liberated from this burning candle and the rat is taken by the plant. That means whatever gases that are emitted by the candle and rat are restored by the plant, and the gases that are emitted by the plant are taken by the, or helpful for the burning candle and the rat. So from this experiment he came to conclusion that gases exchange takes place here. Now by this what we can understand is, whatever be the gas that is liberated by the plant, that means plants during process of photosynthesis they liberate oxygen which is taken by the burning candle and a living rat. So both are surviving there. And the gas that is emitted by the burning candle and rat during the process of combustion and respiration, that means carbon dioxide is released. So this carbon dioxide that is released by these two are taken by the plant, and the plant will emit oxygen which is taken by the rat and the burning candle. That means here exchange of gases takes place, and we know that in plants exchange of gases takes place through tiny holes which are present at the lower surface of the leaf. They are called as stomata. So this is the structure of stomata. Stomata is the central opening of the tiny hole that is present at the lower surface of the leaf. These stomata are guarded by two kidney shaped guard cells. These are the two kidney shaped or bean shaped guard cells. Okay, these stomata, these are called as epithelial cells. Epithelial cells, lower epithelial cells. Okay, or you can epidermal cells. Epidermal cells. Now what is the role of stomata? So this is an important question you get in 10th class. So coming to stomata, you can write these points. So what are stomata? First, stomata are the tiny holes which are present on the lower surface of the leaf. Now what happens through this stomata is, gases exchange takes place through this stomata. Stomata, what is the main function? They helps in exchange of gases. So what happens? Carbon dioxide is diffused inside, carbon dioxide will go inside, and oxygen that is liberated during photosynthesis, it is diffused out. Now how this stomata plays a major role in the process of photosynthesis. Now the rate of photosynthesis depends upon the number of stomata that is present in the lower surface of the leaf. That means in a plant where the photosynthetic activity is more, definitely they have more number of stomata. That means if the stomata number is more, the rate of photosynthesis will be more. If the stomata number is less, the rate of photosynthesis will be less. Now if the stomata are closed, then the rate of photosynthesis will decrease or it will become to 0. So this is the role of stomata. So stomata plays a major role in the rate of photosynthesis. So next we are going to discuss about this structure of chloroplast. Now we have discussed about the internal factors and external factors of photosynthesis, and exchange of gases takes place during the process of photosynthesis and bell jar experiment and structure of stomata. Next is, where does this photosynthesis takes place? We all know that photosynthesis process takes place in the leaf. So leaves are called as food factories of food factories in the plants. Now in leaves, mainly photosynthesis takes place in a particular cell organelle or plastid that is called as a chloroplast. Now look at the scientists related to this. So in 1817, Pelleter and Kalantau, they discovered this chlorophyll. So they reveal that green color part of the plant or the leaf is responsible for the process of photosynthesis. But they don't know at that time what is that green color part. Next, later on, this 1883, Julius Van Sachs, the scientist name is Julius Van Sachs, he found that chlorophyll is found in the chloroplast. Actually, when Pelleter and Kalantau, when they discovered about this chlorophyll, they don't know where this chlorophyll is present, but they assumed that the chlorophyll is spread throughout the leaf. But later on, Julius Van Sachs, he found that chlorophyll is not spread throughout the leaf, but they are present in a particular structures or cell organelles that is called as chloroplast. That means chlorophyll is not spread throughout the leaf, they are present only in the chloroplast. Next, in 1954, Daniel I. Arnon, the scientist's name is Daniel I. Arnon, he first isolated the chloroplast. That means the structure of chloroplast was first studied by Daniel I. Arnon. Okay, so he first isolated the chloroplast from the leaf and he studied the structure of this chloroplast. Now coming to the structure of chloroplast, we already discussed that chloroplasts are present mostly in the mesophyll cells of the leaf. Mesophyll cells means palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma. They are also present in stomata also, stomatal guard cells also. Now the number of chloroplasts in each leaf, it varies, but usually it varies from 20 to 60. In a leaf, there may be 20 to 60 number of chloroplasts minimum. Okay, but it can increase or decrease. Okay, now coming to the structure of chloroplast. Structure of chloroplast can be studied only under electron microscope. It's a very minute structure, so it can be studied only under electron microscope. Coming to the size of the chloroplast, it varies between 5 to 10 microns in diameter, very small. So it can be studied only under electron microscope. Now coming to the shape of the chloroplast, it varies from different plants and algae also. It can be disc shaped, it can be star shaped, it can be spiral and spirogyra. But usually in higher plants it is ellipsoidal in shape. It is higher plants, it is ellipsoidal in shape. Now coming to the structure of chloroplast. Structurally, chloroplast consists of 4 main parts. It consists of mainly 4 main parts. The outer it is called as envelope. Second, it's a jelly-like structure. Within this envelope it is called as stroma. Next, it has thylakoids and it has lumen. Okay, look at this diagram. So this is the ellipsoidal shape of the chloroplast. It has 4 parts. The outer membrane, double membrane structure, it is called as envelope. Next, within this envelope we have a jelly-like substance or amorphous jelly-like substance, it is called as stroma. Within this stroma, here and there, some disc-like structures are embedded. They are called as thylakoids. The disc-like structures are called as thylakoids. Now, the thylakoids are arranged one above the other. They are piled one above the other. For example, look at this. If these are the thylakoids, each individual thylakoids, they are piled one above the other like this. So, the pile of thylakoids, it is called as grana. A pile or a pile of thylakoids or a stock of these thylakoids, it is called as grana. So, they are arranged one above the other like this. Okay. Now, these grana thylakoids or grana thylakoids are interconnected with each other by single membranous stalk-like structures. They are called as stroma thylakoids. This one, they are called as stroma thylakoids, or the other name is lamella, which is also called as lamella. Okay. Now inside these thylakoids and lamella, they have a space. For example, look at this. This is a pile of thylakoids. Now look at this. It has a central space. So this central space of thylakoids or grana, it is called as lumen. The space in between this grana or thylakoids, it is called as lumen. So these are the four parts: envelope, stroma, thylakoids or grana thylakoids. They are connected by stroma thylakoids and lumen. Envelope, stroma, thylakoids and lumen. These are the four parts of a chloroplast. Now we will discuss one after the other. First one is envelope. So envelope forms the outer limit boundary of the chloroplast. So it forms the outer layer. It's a double membrane structure which protects the internal parts of the chloroplast. Now coming to the stroma. Stroma is a jelly-like substance that is present inside the chloroplast. So it is an amorphous jelly-like substance and it is rich in enzymes. The enzyme that is present in this stroma, it is called as RUBP. What is the enzyme? RUBP. Full form of this is ribulose biphosphate. Okay, so this is the enzyme. Actually the enzyme is Rubisco. Its name is Rubisco. That is ribulose biphosphate, carboxylase and oxygenase. Ribulose biphosphate, carboxylase and oxygenase. So this is the enzyme name, actually total enzyme name. This means this enzyme is capable of fixing both carbon dioxide as well as oxygen in the stroma. So that is the main function. Apart from this RUBP, it also has DNA and it also has some starch granules in there. Okay, this is the structure of this stroma. Next one is called thylakoid. Thylakoids are nothing but they are the disc-like structures which are embedded here and there in the stroma. They are also membrane-bound structures. Now these thylakoids consist of pigments. They consist of pigments. The pigments which are present in the thylakoids are chlorophyll. We have different types of chlorophyll: A, B, C, D and E. Next we also have carotenoids. Carotenoids means consist of carotenes and xanthophylls. That means it has orange, yellow colors. Okay, that means apart from this green color pigments, it also has other pigments in this thylakoids. Okay, now these pigments in these thylakoids, they form two reaction centers. In thylakoids we see two reaction centers. They are called as photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So this photosystem 1, photosystem 2, nothing but these thylakoids group together to form photosystems. Okay, so PS1 and PS2, photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. This variation is nothing but its different variation is based on the amount of wavelength what it receives. So photosystem 2 it receives 600 nanometers of light, whereas photosystem 1 it receives 700 nanometers of light. So these photosystem reaction centers consist of these pigments. What happens in these photosystems is, in this photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, the solar energy is trapped by these pigments and this solar energy is converted into chemical energy, that is ATP and NADPH are formed. Next one is lumen. Lumen is nothing but the central space that is present between thylakoids and the grana as well as in the stroma thylakoids. Now this lumen, it acts like a reservoir of photons. That means photolysis of water takes place here. I will explain in detail what is this. That means splitting of water takes place, during which process hydrogen ions, that is protons, are released. These protons are temporarily stored in this lumen. So that is the importance of this lumen. Okay. So this is the overall structure of chloroplast. It consists of envelope, it consists of stroma which is rich in enzymes. Okay, where the dark reaction of the photosynthesis takes place with the help of this enzyme. Next we have thylakoids. Thylakoids consist of photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, which are called as the reaction centers, which mainly consist of the pigments, where the pigments will trap the solar energy and convert them into chemical energy. And the last one is lumen. Lumen is a site where photolysis or splitting of water takes place, and it acts like a reservoir of protons.